Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Rachel Landry.
It looks like the wet weather is here to stay all week. Now here's your 5-day weather forecast. Today will be a mix of sun and cloud, a 30% chance of showers this morning and into this afternoon with a high of 6 and a low of 1. Tomorrow looks the same, a mix of sun and cloud with showers in the afternoon and a high of 5 and a low of 2. Saturday will be cloudy with a 40% chance of showers or even some flurries with a high of 8 and a low of 2. To finish off the weekend, we'll get a break from the rain. There will be a mix of sun and cloud. It will be a bit windy with a high of 8 and a low of 5. As we head back to school and work, the rain will be back and we'll see a high of 6 and a low of 1. That's all for your 5-day forecast. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Rachel. Turning now to international and national news. The Parti Québécois has tabled its secular charter at the National Assembly this morning. The PQ wants to ban public sector employees from wearing overt religious symbols. The bill, formerly called the Charter of Quebec Values, has been renamed and is now called the Charter Affirming the Values of State Secularism and Religious Neutrality and of Equality between Women and Men and Providing a Framework for Accommodation Requests.
Tweeting took to the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange today. Twitter is now trading under the ticker symbol TWTR. The company's trading debut was the most highly anticipated since Facebook's last year. Twitter surged 85% above its IPO price this morning, and the social media website has never made a profit before its public debut and priced the initial public offering of stock at $26 per share. The value of the company is at more than $18 billion based on its outstanding stock. Twitter's opening price rose to as high as $48.15.
The Fukushima nuclear power plant is about to undergo a dangerous, potentially disastrous procedure. In the coming days, Tokyo Electric Power Company will begin taking out 1,500 spent fuel units to store in specially designed containers. According to scientists, the damaged nuclear plant in Japan is in such a delicate condition that an earthquake could trigger a disaster that could decimate Japan and affect the entire west coast of North America. The procedure is considered a milestone in the estimated $50 billion cleanup of the nuclear power plant.
The Bank of Canada released a look of the new $5 and $10 Canadian bills today. The $5 bill is an iconic blue color with the illustration symbolizing Canada's contribution to the International Space Station program. It features the Canadarm2 and Dexter on the back of the bill. The $10 bill is purple with an illustration of the longest railway ever built at the time. The railway linked Canada's eastern and western frontiers.
And now with your sports news, here's Jonathan Rumley.
Thanks, guys. The Humber men's soccer team will represent Ontario at the CCAA National Semifinals in New Brunswick. The Hawks will take on the Ooks from Alberta. The game kicks off at 4:30. Good luck, Hawks. On to the hard court. Both men's and women's basketball teams came out on top over Fanshawe last night. The Humber men's team won by 18 points, winning 79-61. They improved to 4-2 on the season. The women's team outscored the Falcons by 12, earning the 63-51 victory. The women have cruised to an 11-0 record as they look to continue on their perfect season. The Toronto Raptors fell short on the road last night, 92-90 to the Charlotte Bobcats. Rudy Gay dropped 20 points and JV had a double-double, but it wasn't enough. Head coach Dwayne Casey says the Raptors defense let the game slip away.
We had no defensive focus whatsoever starting the game. And then it kind of continued because, because now they have their confidence. And instead of us coming down and punching them in the mouth early, they got a flow going, Henderson got going, and we couldn't shut it off. So it's a great lesson for us, back-to-back. This is a tough league. You got to come out ready to play each and every night.
The Raps will return to action tomorrow night as they host the Bulls. To the NHL, Matt Duchene may have scored the prettiest goal of the year. Duchene splits the D, flies towards the goal, and dekes out Carter Hutton to tie up the game. That goal is so sick, it makes medicine sick. I can watch this goal all day. What a beauty. Duchene's effort wasn't enough for the Avs as they lost 6-4 at home to Nashville. For more craziness in the NHL, let's take a look at a clip from Chicago last night. Bollig hits Party through the glass. The glass falls down, and a fan takes Party's helmet. That helmet has got to be sweaty, but the fan seems to enjoy it. Don't be surprised if you find a Jets helmet on eBay one day. It definitely makes for a great souvenir. Chicago won the game, defeating Winnipeg 4-1. It's the second time in 5 days that the Blackhawks took down the Jets. We end the Sportscast with a crazy bet from hardcore NFL fans. Now here's the bet. If your team loses the big game, you get tasered. And that's exactly what happened after the Bears beat the Packers on Monday night. John Grant tasered his wife 3 times outside of a bar in Wisconsin. She laughed and recorded the tasing, but after the 3rd time, she called the cops. Grant was charged with felony possession of an electronic weapon. Hey, I guess a bet's a bet. That's all for sports. I'm Jonathan Rumley. Now back to you in the studio.
Shocking. Thanks, Jonathan. After the break, we'll get your latest in entertainment with Natalie Hanneman.
Honey Boo Boo's family farts their way through an interview, and Justin Bieber is making news in Brazil. All that and more coming up in entertainment.